Hello and welcome back to the second episode of this week of the Women's Rugby Show Weekly podcast with me, Sam. By the way, in this one we'll be looking at the start of the PWR season coming up this weekend. We'll be talking to people from Loughborough, Bristol Bears and Saracens, and also looking at WXV round two, where we'll be hearing from the England camp and the New Zealand camp ahead of their meeting this weekend. Let's get into this one. First of all, thank you for taking your time to chat to me today. Just how are you enjoying Canada so far?
Yeah, it's been pretty good. Weather's nice. Fields have been pretty good, and yeah, we're just happy to be here.
And just to kind of go back to your start of your rugby career, obviously you debuted in FPC quite young, just in school. Was it year 12, I think? Is that right?
Yeah, year 13 for me.
Okay, just kind of, how was that kind of stepping up into that level so young and so early?
Yeah, I was probably like 6. I had my 18th birthday when we had a training, and so that was pretty cool. I felt really cool as like a young girl showing up to training, and we like celebrated my birthday. And so yeah, it was a really good environment. There are so many legends in that team, the likes of Eloise Blackwell, one of the great Black Fern locks, Lindy Tunu, Charmaine McMenamin, Alicia Pronas. Oh, there's too many to name. But yeah, just learn from the best, and to have those standards at such a young age, I think has been really, what's the word? Like, it's developed me into who I am today, and it's been really beneficial.
Obviously, quite a lot of kind of mentors in that early career as well. Like you mentioned, those playing wise, but also in terms of coaching. Obviously, Anna Richards at Auckland. Just how important are people like that early on in your career?
So important. Anna Richards, she's actually our hub manager, and so she looks after us every day that we're in Auckland. So it's really special to have her by our sides and leading us and teaching us. She sends us messages before games, and so yeah, we love Anna. She's such a legend of the game, and to have her close is real special.
And obviously, your kind of career kind of kick-started quite quickly as well, from starting FPC, obviously being part of the first Blues side, and then New Zealand Barbarians in 2020. Just, do you feel like you're kind of making steady progression all the way through early on?
Yeah, I guess lots of the girls my age, we're quite fortunate and feel very privileged to be able to grow up in this time of women's rugby. It's grown so much in the last couple of years, and we were part of the first ever contracted group of Black Ferns, and yeah, I guess we're just making the most of every opportunity that we have, and with the opportunities, I guess I have no excuse but to succeed and to keep growing and doing my best to grow the game.
And obviously, you made your debut for the Black Ferns on that Northern Tour three years ago-ish. Yeah, 3 years ago. Just kind of, what are your memories of that tour, and obviously debuting against England, who you're facing this weekend?
Man, that was actually, we got pumped every single game that tour, and it was hard, but it's still one of my favorite tours because I guess the connection that we made as a team and how we grew over the next year and came back to win the World Cup, that was such a special moment. It actually felt like a movie. Lots of us were like, wow, this is like a movie turnaround. We get smashed and then we beat those two teams in the semis and finals. But yeah, I think both of our teams, New Zealand and England, have grown so much over the last 3 years, and we have a very young team still. There's so many cap differences between us, but we're growing, and it's exciting to see where we're heading, even though we're not putting everything together yet.
Just to touch on that World Cup year, obviously when you made your debut at the end of 2021, did you ever think you'd be kind of playing every test in that World Cup year, starting a World Cup final, and then being nominated for Breakthrough Player of the Year as well?
I guess I hoped for it. I got big dreams, and so yeah, I really wanted to be in that team. First of all, make the squad for World Cup, and then try my best week in and week out to get a jersey. And if it was a starting jersey or on the bench, I just wanted to give my all for this team because I love the Black Ferns, and yeah, we're just so happy that we're able to bring it home at home.
And just one last question kind of on your career today. Obviously, before we get into WXV currently, you became the youngest Black Ferns captain ever last year in Canada as well. So just Kind of how special was that, and kind of what memories do you take from that day?
It was a surprise getting told that. I didn't feel ready for it at the time, and looking back at it, I still don't know if I was. But I think that's such a cool thing about it, is that I was trusted by my coaches and by my team to be able to have that role. I actually didn't have to worry that much because of the support of the girls in the team. We have so many leaders, and I guess being named captain, it was really special. But everyone else did so much more leading that I didn't have to worry about much. Just had to do what I do and lead by my actions.
You mentioned kind of the cap differential in the teams. Obviously, that you're quite an inexperienced Black Fern side. Do you kind of feel like one of the leaders within the team now?
Yeah, I guess so, especially this year. I've been here for 3 years, and there's been so many changes in terms of management, coaches, and girls coming in and out. And I think there's like a little group of us who have been here through all of it. And yeah, I think I try to lead however I can in the team at this point. But yeah, we got leaders throughout the whole squad.
And obviously, just to touch on last week against Ireland, disappointing for the squad. Just how much can you kind of learn from that game, and what kind of are you going to be taking into the England game this weekend?
So much. Oh, yeah, we were all real gutted. So much to learn, and I think that's a really good gift for us at this point in time. We're still about a year out from the World Cup, and so with the things that we didn't capitalize on the weekend, we're learning from that. We're learning game management skills as leaders, how to get the girls in and, I guess, close off a game. And so having a challenge like that, it hurts, and we don't want to feel like that again. And so, yeah, I think we're in not a great spot, but we're in a good spot to build.
And obviously playing England a couple of weeks ago as well, and just kind of how important do you think that was to kind of see where you are marked up against them, and then playing them again in a couple of weeks' time?
Yeah, we're really excited to be able to face them again. A couple of weeks ago at Twickenham, that was really cool. It was such a special crowd, be able to play in front of their home and see what it was like heading into World Cup next year. But yeah, we've got our learnings from that game, more learnings from the Ireland game, and we're just really excited to try piece everything together and go again this Sunday.
Just where do you see kind of the English threats? Obviously, someone from England, we talk so much to the English team about what the other side's threats are, but what do you kind of see the English threats are this weekend?
Forward pack, they're strong, they're big up front, and they like to use their size and their strength. And then I guess their backs as well. They're very elusive, quick, and they love a kick. And so I guess we're just going to have to bar up to that and play how we play and use our strengths.
And obviously, you touched on earlier about the Northern Tour of 2021 and kind of the movie, how it moved on to the 2022 World Cup. Just does this kind of feel like a little bit similar to kind of being a year out, not knowing fully where you are, like it was a couple of years ago?
Yeah, I guess so. I feel a bit older. I think all of the girls feel a bit older now. And so with that is more game experience and more, I guess, test experience, just full stop. We've got a consistent coaching group, and so that's going to be helpful leading into World Cup as well. And yeah, I'm getting excited to build into it. These games are so good for us, WXV1, and yeah, just so grateful to be able to verse so many quality sides and just measure ourselves against them.
And how important is WXV1 kind of, not just for the Black Ferns, but also for all teams kind of building for next year?
So important. I guess women's rugby only grows when you verse quality sides. So the more that we're exposed to it and exposed to these hard test matches in different kind of environments is important. It's so cool to see the women's game growing like this. And yeah, I'm just really grateful for WC1 and for everyone who's bringing it about.
And you mentioned the growth of the women's game there. Just Do you kind of see the difference even in the short 3 years you've been playing at international level?
Yeah, 100%. Bigger crowds, seeing it more in the media, and I guess just I don't know how to explain it. Just the feeling. It's feeling more professional. So many more teams are getting much more support, and it's making the games harder, and that's really important for everyone. And yeah, it's a real cool feeling.
And just finally, you mentioned about the crowds. Obviously, it was announced over here that the World Cup tickets are sold, 55,000 tickets already. Just kind of how exciting is that heading into a World Cup year or a year out when I think the World Cup last year probably wouldn't have had these tickets. World Cup last time wouldn't have had these ticket sales anywhere near the time. So just how exciting is that heading into a World Cup a year away?
Yeah, it's exciting. So cool, so special. We've seen how the Northern Hemisphere can turn it on for women's rugby, and yeah, I guess World Cup in your guys' home will be pretty cool.
And is it kind of the aim to get there in the World Cup final at the Twickenham, the Allianz Stadium in a year's time?
Yeah, that's in our hopes, in our plans, and just hope to put our best foot forward building into that.
Perfect. So cheers, Maia. Best of luck for the weekend and the rest of WXV as well.
Thank you, Sam. Nice to talk to you.
Kind of on that might blend into two questions for me, just touching on kind of the front row units that seemingly have been working in the two warm-up games in the first, and obviously Kelsey came into the one with you and Maude last week. And just, is that kind of stuff you work on in training, working in those units? And just how much do you enjoy kind of playing with Maude and Bots and also Kelsey as well?
Yeah, we obviously do train in those units, but we know that that's not always going to be the picture we have. So we do obviously rotate as well. It wouldn't just be like we'll do a whole scrum session, but it's just one front row against each other. We do rotate in because obviously there is 8 of us out here. So yeah, to make sure everyone gets reps. But yeah, I've been really enjoying playing with Bots and Maude. I think we've got quite a good relationship on and off the pitch as well, which always helps with them. On the pitch when we need to problem solve, we can be quite direct with our communication and have some honest conversations about what we need at scrum time as well. So yeah, it's been going really well. But yeah, as I say, the whole front row is pretty connected as well.
And just obviously, there's been a bit of time with you coming off the bench. You started. Just how do you find the difference between starting for England and then coming off the bench for England?
I guess when you start, you kind of have to like almost figure the game out and lay down a platform, and then we always talk about the Super 8 coming on and finishing strong. Mitch actually has been quite disappointed that in the 2 warm-up games when the Super 8 have come on, there's only been 1 try scored. So he kind of laid down a marker for us in that USA game that he wanted us to come on and score some tries. So luckily we did that. So hopefully we could take that one off his list.
Just starting with you, Lewis. I spoke to Amy Cokayne the other day about kind of the forward front row units and just how well they're working together. Just how well as a coach do you think that kind of set of 3 of them, obviously the starting 3 and the bench 3, have been working together well the last couple of weeks?
No, it's amazing that we've got that sort of depth. Our scrum coach Nathan Kurt's like really excited because we can go either way now with selection. Like you seen last week, we went the other way with Sarah Byrne, Lark and Mac on the loosehead side, and then this week we've gone the other way. So and they both give us impact off the bench as well. So that's what we're looking for. And then we've all got the ability to change a game, which is really exciting.
And Marlie, I spoke to Maia Roos from the Black Ferns yesterday, and she kind of highlighted the Red Roses forward pack as the biggest threat. What would you kind of highlight from the Black Ferns as their key threat this weekend?
I think for us, it's just making sure that we're probably smarter than the last time we played them, and that actually we just need to make our one-on-ones, our upfront tackles, and make them more dominant. So yeah, I'd just say more dominant tackles from us and making sure we're making our one-on-ones.
And you highlighted Ireland earlier about kind of the win against the Black Ferns last week. Just how important do you think that is for the women's game, that these teams are now putting up those results and kind of stronger? Obviously, Scotland and WXV2 doing really well. Just how important is that for the women's game?
Oh, I think it's massive, but that's the whole point of this tournament, to give these teams opportunities to play the likes of New Zealand, the top tiers, but then also down in WXV 2 and 3 for the opportunity for the growth in the game and to make it competitive games. And it's not you're playing hypothetically someone in WXV3 against WXV1 and one team running away with it, and it's really hard from a team to learn from that. Whereas I think, teams are being challenging, learning and growing throughout the tournament. And then the fact that the competition's a year old now, people have moved WXVs, and actually, how exciting was it, the fact that, Ireland were in WXV3 last year, to then jump up to WXV1 and beat the current reigning world champions. I think, that's pretty epic.
Okay, so Nathan, just first of all, before we get into the PWR starting this weekend, just want to quickly touch on WXV and obviously a lot of your players away. That England-USA game must have been pretty pleasing for you to watch as a Loughborough coach, with Bo making a debut so successfully and Alev shining so much as well.
Yeah. It's pretty. It's pretty good to see the growth of the program. Essentially, how many players we had involved in that game. I think we obviously take immense pride in Bo being selected, playing for England and scoring as one of the players that's come through the Bucks pathway. It's also nice to see that a player that we've recruited had such an influence on the game, and it was against players that she'll be playing against in the Premiership next year. So it just shows what you can do. But I thought probably a lot's been spoken about Alev and Bo, but I thought Hallie had a really good game. I thought she just got nuts and bolts, really performed really well. And it was good to see so many of the Loughborough lot out there, definitely.
And just kind of just moving on to the PBR, obviously a lot of new faces coming in, like you said, a lot of them are away, but just how excited are you for kind of this season with Loughborough, obviously the short season as well?
Yeah, I'm really excited. It's definitely going to be a sprint. Obviously, it's a different challenge at the moment, but a challenge that we're all, as a coaching staff, enjoying. We've got a young group, but it's only going to make us stronger moving forward in terms of it's going to give us more depth within the squad when the international players return, but also a lot of the girls that are playing at the moment they're Bucks eligible, so it only helps us moving forward in that competition as well, which we take very seriously. So it's great growth for the program. It's certainly challenging at times, but yeah, no, we're enjoying the challenge.
And you mentioned the coaching set, obviously a few new faces into that this season, with Charlie Beckett coming in. Obviously, Loughborough Uni have a new head coach as well. Just how exciting is it to kind of get a new kind of depth of knowledge into the program as well?
Yeah, we're really fortunate. Like, there was, every club's got a budget, but we sort of nailed our colours to the mast in terms of we want to be able to provide the players the best sort of coaching around. We want to be able to give them full-time coaches, whether that's on the grass or in the gym, because we see that's the biggest growth of the game. Like, there's still a shortage of players that can play and compete at a PWR or international standard. So we look to develop the players to make them better, to get them to that level. And obviously with the recruitment of Charlie's brilliant. He's full time. He's in the environment. He's desperate to make people better. And Matt the same from a Bucks level. But also we've invested heavily within our S&C department and around athletic development for those younger players and essentially the next cabs off the rank.
Mm-hmm. And obviously you got the links with the Bucks, but also the links with Buckingham kind of coming in over the summer. Just how important is that going to be during this season, to kind of making sure people still get that adequate game time? We saw in their first championship game, a few players were playing for them. Just how important is that going to be heading forward?
Yeah. First and foremost, it's a great partnership. Like, it's helped us a lot over pre-season, obviously, because there's only, numbers. You don't want to train against the same people all the time. It gives you different pictures. So we've done a number of sessions against Buckingham to prep us for the books and for the PWR season. I think the championship, probably similar to the men's championship, is quite an undervalued tool, but we've already sent 5 or 6 players there to play in a couple of opening rounds for Buckingham, which has given them some game experience, which has also pushed them for selection for Lightning itself. So it's been great. It's been great in that regard, and we were keen to do the partnership with Buckingham because it's such a well-run club. Like from a championship point of view, you know, there's GPS, performance analysis. They take the gym and athletic development seriously. So it was a good match, and they're well trusted.
Mm-hmm. And obviously heading into the start of the league season this week, and just how much did you kind of take from those 2 Power Up Series games heading into this one?
Yeah, like both games, a little bit night and day. Like I thought we performed extremely well against Sale. Leicester Tigers, not so well. Like we played, we tried some new stuff. We tried different combinations. I wanted to try things over the course of the 2 games. I wanted to use it as an opportunity to look at players, try different things. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. And yeah, like there's a lot to take from both games.
And just where are the excitement levels in the group kind of heading into the start of the league season?
It's quite interesting. Obviously, we've been, a younger group. I think there's an excitement level. Like there'll be a number of debuts that have not played or started Premiership rugby game, and they've certainly seen the difference between preparing for a couple of friendlies in comparison to comparing to a PWR game. Like the intensity of the week's certainly ramped up. My expectation from them has ramped up. So I think it's been an eye-opening experience for them. But one, they will be excited. And a challenge they'll be really excited for come Saturday.
And obviously Bristol are in a quite similar position with the amount of players they've got away internationally. Obviously a lot of Welsh and Scottish girls within their setup. Just how exciting is it to kind of be having that even matchup where you're going to be you're facing one of the top 4 teams from last season, you're facing one of the finalists?
Yeah, like we don't like to be in fairness, we're not worried too much about Bristol. Essentially, they'll have done the same. Like it's 2 warm-up games. I've worked in the men's game for many a year, and you don't take too much out of what happens in a friendly prior to a league game. I'm sure there's stuff that Bristol have not shown. I'm sure there's combinations they've not shown in those last 2 games. So we're not focusing too heavily on Bristol. We're just excited to get them to our place and have a real good go at them. What I would say is there'll probably be some surprises this weekend. Like it's a great level of not having those international players. So it's fair for everyone to have a go this weekend. So yeah, we're really looking forward to it, regardless of if it's Bristol or not.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned right at the start about this kind of season being a sprint. Just how important is it to kind of kickstart quickly and kind of start quickly and not be left behind if you are pushing for those top 4 places?
Yeah, like it's difficult to say. Like obviously you want to start the season well, but essentially it's out of your control. You've prepared the best you can possibly prepare under the circumstances you've been in, but so is everybody else. Like everybody's coaching hard, everybody's working hard, everybody's prepping hard for each other this weekend. Like the main thing is not the result, and people think I'm lying when I say that. It's not. It's the performance, and then do we have a foundation to build from? Like if we've got that foundation to build from, then I'm 100% happy. Like I've got a number of world-class players coming back. If I can create more players for that squad, we've got a foundation of how we want to play moving forward, and then we'll take it from there. I'm not getting too bogged down around if I drop a couple of points in the first 2 rounds, we might not finish top 4. Well, if we drop a couple of points in the first 2 rounds, I've got to go at Saracens away and get 2 points. Do you know what I mean? So it's that sort of mindset. We'll just concentrate on the performance. If we drop points, we'll work it out. If we get 5 points, brilliant. But it's all about the performance and all about how we can build and have a foundation in place for when international world-class players come back.
And just finally, obviously, not just yourselves brought in a lot of kind of international stars this year. Obviously, you've got Alev and Chrissy coming in. Saracens got a load of Canadians coming in, a lot of the Sevens players kind of coming back into the game. Just how important is that for the league and kind of the growth of the game in the PWR?
Yeah, I think the PWR has got massive responsibility to grow future Red Roses, and I completely agree with the EQP system at the moment. I wouldn't want it to get out of hand, but I do feel that having different cultures, different nationalities coming into your team is only the benefit of the development of future Red Roses. The Canadians, they've got a great body of players to select from, and it'd be criminal if they weren't given the opportunity to play in the best league in the world. The main thing for me is when I sign a player who is of non-EQP, that they have to be, up there world-class standard, and are only going to help the development of a Loughborough Lightning player or Loughborough University student. So if you take, for instance, an Alev, it's she's going to be probably the one. Carmela Morel won't like it at the start, but she's going to be one of the best thing that's ever happened to Cam, because she's got someone like that to learn from. It's a bit like Chrissy Scarefield as well. She's a very similar player to Ellen Scantlebury, but yeah, Ellen might not like it at the start that she's got that competition. However, she's only going to make Ellen a better player over the next 2 to 3 years by the fact that they're playing together. So all the players that we bring in from North America have to add to the environment and develop the younger players that we have within the environment. But that's similar to a Red Roses or to Scars Helena or you name it.
First of all, Alicia, thanks so much for taking your time today. I was trying to work out when your last 15 league game was before the Power Up series. Was it 2022?
Yeah, it was a good 2 and a bit years ago. I want to say maybe April 2022, I think.
Yeah, so obviously time away with Sevens. Kind of what was the decision making behind the move back to 15s?
I guess I've always loved 15s. Sevens is an unbelievable sport to play, and it gives you such an opportunity on the biggest stage against some unbelievable opposition. But 15s is sort of where the growth of the game is at the moment, and if I can do anything to sort of get back into the mix of things and put my hand up for selections, then that's all I want to do.
And just why Loughborough as well?
I guess I've been around sort of the pathway environment coming from Hartpury, and Loughborough's had a lot of talent come through its pathways as well, and there's a lot of good experience in the team, and I guess I kind of want to add to that, and we've got expectations and goals that we've set as a team for this season, and I think that we can definitely make that happen.
And just how excited are you for the league season to kick off on Saturday?
Yeah, very excited. It's been a long pre-season. There's been some dark moments. The girls have been pretty patient with me, sort of getting back into the swing of things. But no, it's been real fun to sort of get back into 15s and to be in a proper club environment that's very welcoming, and everyone is sort of pushing for the same goal.
And just how important was that Power Up series? You obviously, like we've mentioned, kind of 2 years since your last proper 15s game. So just how important were those kind of warm-up games?
Yeah, I think it was good for the whole squad in general. We've got a lot of youth in the team, but bundles of talent, and we all want to do well. We want to have a lot of success this season, and I guess those couple games have put us in a real good place going into the start of the Prem this weekend. A couple things didn't go away, but we got a lot of learnings from it that have really helped us in the last couple of weeks, preparing and training. So I think we're in a really good place going towards Saturday.
And obviously, Gloucester, Hartpury, you kind of mixed about in positions a bit. You played a bit of flanker when you were starting up. Just settled at 9 completely now?
Yeah, I think I'm definitely settled at 9. Yeah, flanker probably. I think I went there for a little bit, but I'm glad I'm back in the scrum half position.
Nathan Knott said you can fill in it, perhaps with a yellow card at scrum time.
I don't think so. Maybe if it was absolutely necessary, but I think I'll stay in the backs firmly for now.
Obviously, you're one of quite a few new arrivals at Loughborough. Just what's it been like, kind of, with the whole team settling in? Obviously, a lot of internationals away in WXV. So, what's the kind of settling in period been like?
Yeah, it's been, as I said, it's been a long pre-season, but I've got to know the girls really well. They've all been so welcoming, really helpful. We've obviously got quite a few new signings away with WXV at the moment, but I'm sure when they come back, they'll slot in perfectly and we'll be able to hit the season running.
And obviously, quite a short kind of season with the finishing before the Six Nations. Just kind of how important do you think it is going to be to hit the ground running on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, we can't take any sort of moments for granted. We've spoken a lot about playing like the full 80 and not starting slow, and I think we've got every chance to do that. And with the players in the squad that we've definitely got a great chance against Bears. We know that they're going to put up one hell of a fight, but it's our home ground. We've got all it's all on us. So it's a hell of an opportunity, definitely. And sorry, the season is obviously like a bit different, but I think it maybe plays to some advantage. So we don't have like so many big breaks, so we can sort of keep the momentum going. We've got aims to be in the top 4, and I think that'll help us massively.
And just last one for me, like we said about the kind of 2 years since you've last been in the PWR, just how far do you think 15s has come in women's rugby since in those 2 years?
It's definitely come massively. You know, you can see sort of how much it's changed televised. People are talking about women's sport more. You know, the mass crowds you get at games now is unreal. You know, I was at Twickenham a couple of weeks ago for the Red Roses game. There's nearly 50,000 people, and building towards the World Cup next year. That's massive for anyone who's like taking on any new sport, let alone rugby. So I think for anyone in like the development areas, whether like you're starting out at 5 like I was, or you're just picking it up now at like 20 whatever age, it's massive to see like the growth and the I guess sort of not like the demand that it needs, but like the respect that it deserves, I guess, as a women's sport, because we put so much effort in, and it's like about time that we get the recognition.
I'm sorry, just one more. Obviously, you mentioned kind of Loughborough's goals for the season, but what kind of goals have you set, or if you have set any individual goals for this coming season?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely set a few personal and team-wise. I guess I want to play as much as I can, grow my development and put my hand up as much as I can. And if that then leads to opportunities sort of internationally, then that's always been a goal of mine. But I try not to think too far ahead, just take each moment as it comes and enjoy it, and like every little success we get.
So just first of all, start with you, Alex. Just how excited for you this season to get underway?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the season has started with the Power Up series. We got some good outings in that, some good exposures and learnings. But yeah, now the league season started. It's going to be a quick fire, bang, bang, bang every week. So it's going to be a new challenge in terms of that, but an exciting one. You know, every start of the season is exciting. Hopefully, we finish with the same level of excitement.
And just how tough is it going to be to kind of manage for yourself as kind of and the coaching team? Kind of like you said, bang, bang, bang. This season is not very little breaking weekends. Just how tough is it going to be?
Yeah, I think all the coaches and director rugby will say the same thing. It's it's making sure that you're performing week in, week out, but also making sure you look after the players, because their welfare is paramount. And if you don't rest, rotate, manage that properly, I think it'll catch you up, certainly towards the back end of the season. So I think it's going to be a different challenge. The welfare and the form of players is always at the forefront of your mind. But with it being such a congested season, coming off the back of WXV, the friendlies there, a lot of players involved there, and then going straight into Six Nations for some of the players. That load management to ensure that we get the best performances from the individuals and from the collective is going to be a big challenge and a new one. You can't afford to get behind the 8 ball early this year. We saw, post the last World Cup, if you lose a few games early on while players are still being rested or integrating back in, then it makes it a really challenging part of the season. And we learned from that year where we had 11 games in a row. It's pretty fundamental that you've got to win week in, week out to keep the decisions in your hand, but you've also got to make sure that you're managing players effectively through that. And certainly, players playing every week, this might be what they want to do, but it's not the right thing for their bodies.
And obviously, Trailfinders coming up this weekend are probably a different Trailfinders team than you would have faced at the back end of last season. A lot of change, both coaching and player wise. Just kind of obviously you played them in the Power Up, but what do you expect from them coming into this weekend?
Yeah, I think, look, although it has been a lot of change, we did play each other like a week ago, and I don't envisage a great deal of change in the two squads there. You know, the players that are left at club are the players that are left at club. It's going to be feisty, it's going to be physical, it's going to be niggly. It's a London derby, and there was a fair bit of spice to the game, a couple of weeks ago. But they like to throw the ball around. They've got some pace, but they'll also be very physical in and around the breakdown area. So it's an odd one playing a team twice in 2 weekends. But it certainly does help with finding out a little bit about, under the new stewardship, how they're going to play, what they're going to look like. So yeah, it's in one way it's a big challenge in that there's some let's say some unfinished business that was left on the field. But then also, at least we've got an insight into what they play like, and vice versa. They're probably saying the same things around, oh, we know what Saracens are going to do, but in the last couple of sessions, it's our job as coaches and players to keep evolving. So we're not predictable, but ultimately, we got to be in the right place to perform, and the big focus is on us, as it has been for the vast majority of the pre-season. So yeah, it will be an interesting challenge, but hopefully one that we can rise to and keep the momentum of this season going.
And obviously locked away with WXV. Just how exciting is it though for the players left behind, kind of those younger players, those squad players who kind of have experience in the cup, to get this Prem experience and kind of potentially take on leadership roles like Bryony kind of did in the cup last season?
Yeah, no, look, they've not been left behind by any stretch. They're driving us forward as a club. That's our focus. And Bryony and the other players showed, last year, whether it be in the cup, whether it be in the league, that they're ready to go, ready to perform, and they're pushing players. Everyone's pushing everyone to be better. And if that's leadership, if that's some tactical input, if that's feedback elsewhere, then fantastic. But I have no questions around this group. That some of them got their exposures last year in the cup. Some of those youngsters still might be young, but they're experienced now, and we expect them to come in and perform, which is why we've built the squad that we've done. And with the likes of Bryony there, with Carmen, with Maia, with Shaz, there's a lot of high quality in there that, and in another series time or in a different international window, then they might be out at that international competition. So we're very lucky in that those players have taken their opportunities, whether it be when everyone's here or whether, in the other breaks, to really push on and make sure that we're perennially contending, whether that be the league, whether that be the cup or power up series. But most importantly, they push their development on, which means that we're better for it.
And just last one for you, Alex. Obviously, like I mentioned, so many players away in WXV. Just how nice is it for you as a coach to kind of see them excelling on the international stage?
Yeah, it's brilliant. A lot of these players have loaned for a long time. Some of them as young as 12, 13 when I first started working with them. So on a personal level, it's absolutely fantastic. You grow attached to your players, you care about them, and to see them succeeding and maximising their potential and having the opportunity on the international stage is fantastic. I'm hoping that in years to come there won't be the clash domestically, but I understand the challenges of this World Cup cycle and this World Cup year. But I hope to see many more of our players, excel at club level, so those international honours come, including Bryony next to us. She's had a really good season last year. Hopefully she can continue to build on that and smash it out the park, so that we, as well as representing Saracens with pride and with quality, that she can do that with a red rose on her shirt as well.
Thanks, Alex.
And yeah, Bryony, just to kind of touch on what Alex said before about the London derby this weekend, just how excited are you for that one?
Yeah, I think it should be good. I mean, even though we played them the other week, there's a few familiar faces in the opposition, so it's always good playing against old teammates, and I think it adds good fuel to the fire. So I think it should be a pretty passionate game, both sides of the ball, and hopefully we'll come away with another win.
And obviously, you've been quite a long pre-season block for quite a short season. Just how tough has it been kind of finding your way into this season, obviously with the power up series before the league started?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I don't actually think pre-season felt that long. Like, I'd say we're fairly used to having pretty long pre-seasons, and it's good because it gives you the time that you need to kind of get your eye back in and build your fitness back up, which I always enjoy. Like, I don't think I'd have have as much confidence going into my first games if we didn't have that time over pre-season to sort of refine things. But the warm-up games have gone well, and I'm glad that we've had them because it's just given a bit more space, especially like as Alex was saying, to some of the younger players in the squad and those who aren't away internationally to kind of step up and get a bit more time on pitch and step into those leadership roles, which I think is really valuable at the start of the season, building your confidence into the start of the league. So yeah, I mean, still plenty to work on for definite, but feeling good and definitely feel like I've kind of brushed the cobwebs off now for the start of the league, which is good.
I think I spoke to you around the similar kind of time in the leagues, well, the Cups campaign when the internationals were away last year, Bryony. We spoke about the kind of stepping into that leadership role, something you hadn't really were used to at the time, but kind of were growing into. Do you think you've kind of grown into that a little bit more now?
Yeah, like work in progress still. I think, I mean, I'd like to think so. I'd like to think I get along well with everyone and, I can give honest feedback as well as receive it. And I think that's quite critical to like being a good teammate. But yeah, I think just leading by example is probably what I'm focusing on at the moment. Making sure I'm sort of doing as much as I can for the team, and then hopefully, the more I can do that, the more I can maybe step into some other forms of leadership. But yeah, I think that's where I'm at for now.
And just last one, obviously, I think so much of the dialogue around the start of this season has been kind of how short the season is to allow for that World Cup cycle. Just how different is that kind of going to make this season mentally for a player in terms of preparation week on week?
Yeah, I think it will vary a lot probably between players. Like from my point of view, I'm pretty excited for it to be just short and sharp because I think it means that like you don't have time to lose focus. Like you're completely on it all the time, which I think will probably work better for me. But obviously, there's a lot of players who have pretty busy schedules, and it can be tough to find all the time that you need for recovery, etc. But I don't know. I think it's a pretty tough one to comment on because it's whatever fits your lifestyle. But I think we've got enough squad depth to ensure that we're putting strong team out every week. And I think it'll be good. I just hope that we can build energy as the season goes on and sort of account for the lack of potential physical energy I think we'll all have by Christmas. But it should be good.
Just first of all, just kind of how excited are you for the PWR to be back this weekend?
Yeah, I'm pumped, mate. Like I'm saying to Dan, just saying like we're so excited to get going. Like it's a big game for us early on. Loughborough away is probably one of our longest away trips. We'll do it on the day of the game as well. So it's a challenge for the girls, and also a challenge for the girls to do it sort of without our senior internationals around. So there's loads of strings to the bow that we can look forward to, and I can't wait to put a mixture of youth and senior players out there. And I'm sure Loughborough will be very much in the same boat.
You mentioned the players missing with WXV. Just how important are the likes of Amber this weekend when you don't have most of your current internationals here? Just how important are the likes of Amber?
Yeah, it's huge. Like you look at Amber, Ellie Marsden-Mulhern, Ro Marsden-Mulhern. These are players with 100 appearances for the club. Holly Cunningham, another one, 100 appearances for the club. These players have been here. They've done that. They've played a lot of Premiership rugby. We will look to them for them to lead and make sure we guide ourselves because it's not going to go all our way on Saturday. We know that already. We don't need to arrive at Franklin's Gardens for that to happen. It's when we get into those tough moments that actually then, like I said, we can rely on the people like Amber Reid. I mean, she's got more experience in the women's game than probably anyone. So for us to have her as part of our squad is huge, and for her to hopefully guide us around the pitch, play the way we want to play. Obviously, we still want to inspire the next generation by the rugby we're playing. I mean, I think a few people have asked me if Bristol are going to change much because people have worked us out. Well, they've not worked us out that much. We were 40 minutes away from winning the final, so I think it's the sort of the party line for the girls this year is evolution, not revolution, and I think you'll see that in our play this year. There'll be a few tweaks, but I'm hoping the Bristol brand of rugby is here to stay.
And you mentioned kind of those young players coming through. We saw in the Power Up series just so many mixed, obviously Millie David in the game against Gloucester. Just how exciting is it for you as a coach seeing these players coming through?
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible, really. I mean, I remember when I first saw Ren at Centre of Excellence a long time ago now, three years ago, and the way she's come through, and obviously she was captain for that XA game, which again I have to pinch myself because I saw her in that Centre of Excellence environment, and the way she's matured and the way she's playing, and hopefully she'll be knocking on England's door. But then conversely, like you say, with Millie David, Natalie Evans, Heidi Pashwai-Taragon, like there's players. I have to say it like that. She told me to. There's players in there that we can't wait for them to play some Premiership rugby in a Bears shirt, and they've had to wait their opportunities. Millie David in particular, she was knocking on my door every week last year, saying, "What do I need to do?" And I say, "The problem is, Millie, you've got some very experienced, good players in front of you: Deborah Wills, Renika, Courtney Keat, Jenny Hesketh, Ella Lovebond. Like the back three options we've got." I think it's a credit to the squad, but I also think it's the credit to those guys, like you say, that she's pushing them. And then Millie scores the try that she scores. And I kind of just try and bring her down to earth again. I say, Millie, don't believe your own press. It was a good try, but we're going to have to improve on the next part of your game, which is great. And I think she wants to learn as much as she wants to go and score those amazing tries.
And obviously, just last one, quite the truncated season, probably the best way to describe it this year. Just how much of a challenge is that for you as a coach and kind of the rest of the coaching staff?
Yeah, it's a big challenge because obviously our squad is quite big at the start of the season. We're sitting around 51, 53 players, with our university links as well, and obviously our North Bristol links. It's about managing those players. I want those players to put their hand up this weekend, and obviously that Saracens weekend, where they can be like, right, Dave, I've proven I can do it at this level. I want to be rotated into the team. I want to get another opportunity. I want to keep my Premiership experience, going. And again, for them to prove that, and I think us managing that squad, like you say, we've got 7 Prem games in a row at some point, which is unprecedented in our league. It just doesn't happen. So for us to actually manage our squad and to give players legitimate rest is going to be huge, because if you think about, if you're one of those internationals, you play WXV, you come back, you play 18 Prem games or 16 Prem games in 19 weeks, then you go into a Six Nations. So we still want to get the best out of our players in all 3 of those competitions, as well as using the strength of our squad. So it's a massive challenge for me, but one I'm really excited about. I look at the likes of Jess Brake, and I know you spoke to her after the Gloucester game. She's now on 27 appearances. That's just crept up overnight, and all of a sudden she'll be on 50, and all of a sudden then she becomes a player that's well seasoned in the Premiership. She knows what she's doing. She's a local Bristol girl. She's playing some fantastic rugby, and all of a sudden then she is knocking on Lark and Lana's door, these international players who start for their country, and saying, look, I need to be in that squad. And again, that excites me, seeing her progression along with the likes of Millie, Ren, and obviously Natalie Evans. A couple of years' time, I'm expecting her to be saying, Holly Aitchison, Meryl Smith, see you later. I want Natalie Evans out there, So these are the challenges for us as coaches, but they're ones we look forward to, and we can't wait to see.
Hey, Sam.
But just a couple of quick ones. Obviously, season starting on Saturday. Just how excited are you to get going finally in the league?
Yeah, it's like I said, it feels like it's been a long time coming. And like this is the bit that we do pre-season for, to make the rugby bit easier. Hopefully blowing a little bit less and being able to focus on the rugby stuff. So yeah, definitely excited to kickstart it. And I think it's going to be a fast and furious season, with it finishing in March a lot earlier than what it has done. So yeah, it's a really good marker to lay down on Saturday.
As you mentioned just before, about 16 seasons at Bristol, just what do you think's kind of changed in rugby since then, since back when you started?
A hell of a lot. I think for me, like the standard of the game has grown tremendously. I think if this team played the team when I was 18 years old, came in, it'd be a bit of a whitewash. Like there was some unbelievable players that I came in and played and learned a hell of a lot from. Like your Sophie Hemmings, your Claire Flowers, your Lisa Burgess, Susie Appleby's, like all these players that have now gone on to do great things coaching. They were phenomenal players. But just the ferocity of the game, the pace of the game is far beyond what it was when I started. But that comes because the investment in the game's grown. Like the program that's put in place is a full-time rugby program and has been now for probably 6-7 years. And although there's always been a professional mindset in an amateur game, the amateur game now is catching up.
and the professional standards are growing. So the level of S&C, the level of medical that players are getting, they can just reach higher levels, and that's only going to continue to grow in the future. And then the last thing is the crowds, the support, the visibility of the game, the role models within it. Far exceeds anything that's ever been before. Quite embarrassing to say that Kath Spencer was part of the Bristol team in 2009 when I joined. She was the England captain at the time, and I had no clue who she was. Because it just wasn't really, like, you had to go looking for it. You had to know like who the England players were. Probably knew Maggie, and that was about it. To see the game now, to see the role models that are on TV, like you can turn on iPlayer and watch 6 games of rugby in a day. It's great, of women's rugby. So yeah, it's come a long way.
And obviously, so many of those players, kind of like you did 16 years ago, starting their rugby kind of journeys off last season. This season, like Natalie Evans coming in, like some Millie David, Ren Bonner's got quite a lot of caps now for Bristol. But just how much do these kind of young players push you to kind of excel as well, and how exciting are they for Bristol fans?
Yeah, they're like, I'm learning stuff off them as well. But I think for me, like, I'm a player who likes to coach, likes to impart my knowledge, and I feel like my understanding of the game is up there with some of the best. So it's how can I help them with the skills that they have? Because when I was their age, they're far beyond what I ever was as a player. So if I can get their rugby knowledge up, like, that's only gonna like help them. And they're gonna play for England. Like, they're gonna go on and be Red Roses, and it's just a matter of time about how much hard work they want to put in. And they've got phenomenal attitudes as well. So it's about keeping them grounded, learning from them, but also trying to impart a little bit of wisdom that I can as well, which then I have to back up. So it keeps me on my toes. I can't tell them something and then do the opposite. So yeah, if I'm going to teach Nat how to kick, I need to be able to do it myself.
And just last one, obviously, quite a short season, quite short and sharp, little breaks in between. Just how tough is that going to be to kind of manage as a player and also kind of one of the leaders in the team as well?
It'd be about keeping morale high. I think probably more challenging for Dave. But I think the thing that we've really built over the last couple of years is the depth in our squad, and it's going to be more important than ever to be able to rotate players each week. Like, if you're rolling and there's not many rest weekends, actually, where can you give players rest within that season? So when it comes to the crunch points in March, like, you have your first team that you want to select, your 1 to 23 that are nailed on, like, they can go out and perform at their best level. So it's about getting to that point, but also performing week on week. So yeah, the depth and the quality in the squad is going to be really important. I think Dave and Tom have done a great job over the last few years of really building that. And I think that's kind of testament to not many people coming or going for us this season. Like, we're pretty stable. We feel like we're in a good place. Because they built that up over a couple of years.